Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for so many people coming. We didn't expect quite so many people, so I do apologise for the little bit of the squash, but it's really wonderful. We'll keep opening that door for some air, and if necessary, we'll open the back one. But we've shut that for now because it gets a bit noisy with the double ones open. If you need to, especially people sitting on the floor, if you need to stand up and stretch during the talk, please do. So just look after yourselves. Right. I'm sure everybody here knows William. In case anybody doesn't, I'll just give a little bit of background. William is an author and educator and is founder of the Spiritual Companions Trust, an educational charity that takes a holistic and a person-centered approach to spirituality and wellness. I'm delighted to introduce William Bloom, The Secrets of the Inner Smile. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Samia, so much for organising this. Hello, everybody. Hello. If it gets stuffy, we'll open the doors for a while and let Samia flush through. Are we okay for the moment?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Okay. So, my purpose this evening is I want you coming out at the end of the evening with a deeper and better understanding of the inner smile and the strategies, and also able to do it. And if you're already practicing it, I hope it will improve your practice. If you're already teaching it, I hope it will improve the way you teach it as well. I'm going to take us through 2 or 3 exercises during the evening. I'm going to make sure that we understand the science, because there's a very firm science now underlying why this particular practice works. And then towards the end of the evening, we'll take it in a more holistic direction and look at why it also works in terms of energy healing. But in the first 2/3 of the talk, that's something that I could give in an NHS hospital or to a group of medical professors. They would be absolutely fine with what we're doing. The last third though will go into stuff that's more Glastonbury bonkers. But we will get there. We will get there. But in the first place, what I'd love to do is just take you very quickly into the basic exercise. I'm going to take, can I ask you just to, as best you can, in these chairs, in this room, would you just close your eyes, because it's the easiest to do it closed eyes, and would you get a sense of your feet on the ground. This is a very normal way to begin an exercise like this. Get a sense of your feet on the ground, maybe notice how your socks feel against your skin. Notice how your shoes feel. Notice how the floor feels. Notice how your bottom feels against the chair. And as best you can, would you just let your stomach drop? Let your abdomen just sink down. It's the very opposite to Pilates. It's just as though you're slumping. Your body is absolutely familiar with chilling out, relaxing, sleeping. It's been doing it since you were very little. Your body has got nothing new to learn here. So just let it slump down as best you can into being at ease and comfortable and relaxed as best you can. And then would you take 3, 4 very soft, very quiet, I don't want to hear them, very quiet breaths down into your abdomen. Slow, gentle, silken, long, soft breaths. I do not want to hear them. Just experiment with that, 3 or 4 of them. Off you go. I'd like you to bring into your awareness the idea of how you would be if you were looking after a little child, maybe 2 years old, a little toddler who tripped over, hurt her knee, scratched it, maybe there's some blood, she's crying a little bit and you have to bend down, be very careful, comfort this little child, and also at the same time quite carefully check how her knee is. There may be some grit in it, the cut may need a little bandage or cleaning. And it's the same care that you might give to a fledgling bird that has fallen out of a nest, or a little hamster that's not very well, and you hold it in your cradled hands, and just, again, your vibe would soften, and your heart would open, and you'd be very careful, and at the same time you'd be attentive to this little creature that's vulnerable and small. And that attitude of care and kindness, your eyes would be soft, maybe a little smile in them, your heart is open, your attitude is reassuring and careful. It's something that all humans can do. It's a mammalian trait, instinct in us. And now the add-on here is that you use that exactly the same mood and awareness and focus, that of caring for something that's vulnerable and little. You turn that down into your own body. Maybe just wriggle your toes to bring yourself back fully into your body. And if there's an area of your body where there's some pain or distress or discomfort, you just turn your focus towards that area of your body. And your attitude towards this part of your body is attentive, caring. Soft, kind eyes, stomach relaxed, soft breath. Give yourself a little stretch and release the exercise. If you see an opera singer hitting a duff note, you see an opera singer hitting a duff note, what you will see a professional opera singer do next is, instead of going, right, what you'll see a professional opera singer doing, she will go, and then go into the next note. Why? Because she knows that if she has a punitive attitude towards herself, that will just create more tension in her body, which then will constrict her vocal muscles even more and make the next note even worse. So having made the mistake, there's a part of her mind that's going, I made a mistake. There's another part of her mind that has learned that in those situations what's needed immediately is an attitude of care to self. Just an attitude of kindness, an attitude of acceptance. And in that attitude of acceptance, something happens inside her neuroendocrinal system. 10 years ago, the science of how this message moves through the body in a way that's useful and effective was not clear. Over the last 10 years, the science has become much clearer. There was always an understanding that something was going on in the nervous system and the endocrine system that was useful. But over the last 10 years, it's got very, very clear to the point where we have a wonderfully simple map of what's going on in the body. And that map is very similar in its own way to classic strategies taught in Taoist practice, in shamanism, in Wicca, and in other traditional healing approaches. What is going on is really simple. And one way of looking at it is that we are all worms. And now I'm watching your faces to see your response to that. Go back in evolutionary terms. There's a stage in evolution where the animal is a worm. It's got a hole at one end, it's got a hole at the other end, and it's moving around, ingesting food one end, putting it out the other end. If it hits something acidic or too hot or hostile or doesn't like the chemistry of it, it backs off. If it likes the feel of something, it moves forward. It has a kind of brain built into the fabric of its tube. It doesn't have a heart, it doesn't have a head, it doesn't have eyes, it doesn't have a nose, but it has a sentient intelligence that knows how to respond to its environment. If I asked you to then look up at the ceiling and open your mouth and relax your bottom, you would have a sense of the fact that in one way we are still that worm. There's a hole here, goes down through the throat, into the gut, then out bottom. And the gut has our guts, human guts, have a brain, an instinct, a response to life. Gut instinct. In the last decade, one of the things that's become really clear in one part of medicine is the fact that a healthy gut is crucial for both physical, emotional, and mental health. There are rigorously evidenced data now on how an unhealthy gut, where the flora, the ecology of the gut is unhealthy, feeds through to the brain, exacerbating Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. It has implications for mental health, psychosis, psychotic states, and all that kind of stuff. And if you don't know about this, in teaching hospitals in London now, they're actually doing poo transplants. So people who have unhealthy guts are having healthy poo transplanted into their guts, and the shift in the ecology of the gut translates into emotional and mental shifts. This is not what I'm leading you all to. Because I have noticed over the years, the English in particular, are very sensitive about anything to do with their bottoms. French, however, are much more at ease. Anyway, that's another story, and I won't go there. But the point I'm making is there is a brain, a nervous system, and a set of emotions and feelings inside us that are much deeper and more primal than simply what goes on in the brain, and more than what goes on in the heart even. And the heart is also recognised as a huge ganglion of nerves and synapses. So what we know is happening is when people do the inner smile, and that first exercise was essentially one approach to the inner smile. What I asked you to do was relax into your bodies, turn your focus down into your body, and have an attitude to your body which is the same as if you were looking after a vulnerable little child. But to turn that attitude down towards your own body. That sends messages through your mind, brain, nervous system, endocrine system. It immediately inhibits the production of adrenaline and cortisol being the major hormones, neuropeptides in anxiety, fear, and tension. It immediately inhibits that production of them and triggers a cocktail of oxytocin, endorphins, serotonin, cocktail of stuff that makes your body be at ease and feel better. But it does other things as well. When you turn those messages down into your body, the body responds in the same way as the child would respond to the good carer. There's the child in distress. Along comes the carer. The carer goes, "Are you all right? Everything okay?" And the child soothes. Because there's a message going to the child that goes all the way through to the gut. So what you also have happening is not just the mind getting a message, not just the endocrinal system getting a message, but the heart is also getting a message. because in the human, as opposed to the worm, running from here down to here is a long nerve called the vagus nerve. So those of you who are taking notes, if you want to be Googling afterwards to come up to speed with the science, one of the things you'll be Googling is gut brain. Another thing you'll be Googling is poo transplants. That will be top of your list, I imagine. And a third thing you might be Googling is polyvagal theory by a guy called Porges, P-O-R-G-E-S, polyvagal theory, Porges. Some of you familiar with his work? Yeah. And what he has got, he's got a model. It's 10 years old now. It's basically, again, the main nerve goes from here down to here. It's influenced by what's going on in your mind. It's influenced by what you're hearing and seeing. And what goes on in that nerve, which is also influenced by what's going on in the gut, because it's all connected, also influences what's called your heart rate variability. Heart rate variability is, it's about 3 minutes more of the science, and then we'll get back into the exercise and the holistic stuff. Heart rate variability, I don't know whether you know about this, but it's good to know about it, just so you can talk about it and understand what's going on in your body. Heart rate variability is you have a heartbeat, boom, 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 boom. But the space between each heartbeat varies. It's not the same space. And there's an algorithm that medics use to measure that variability. And if it's integrated, it means you're healthy. And if it's not integrated and it's in a state of disharmony, it means you may die soon. And it's HR, heart rate variability, is used in operating theatres to monitor the health of the patients. This is not flaky stuff. And any of you with a smartphone will know there's probably 50, 60 apps out there where you can have heart rate variability monitors on your phone. So what's happening when you do this simple exercise like the opera singer does of not chastising yourself for hitting a dud note, but going, oh, bliss. And I mean it that way. I don't mean to be gooey or sloppy or soft, but that vibe, that oh, bliss, oh, care, it's that vibe that you want, precisely the same vibe that you'd give to a little creature that's vulnerable. It's that vibe that passed through your nervous system, which is the same vibe you'd have got from a caring parent. It's that vibe, it's that attitude, it's that mood which sends the messages through your vagus nerve into your endocrine system, into your heart rate. Heart rate variability comes back into harmony and integration. Breath calms down, gut calms down, the ecology of your gut becomes nice and harmonious. The brain likes that because it's all connected, and your whole body goes, oh. Now, when people approach Taoist practice, T-A-O, Taoist practice, Chinese medicine, now, this is coming to the West over the last 40 years, and I've been in many of those classes, and there comes a point in those classes where the teacher will say, or ought to say, at the very heart of Taoist medicine is this particular exercise of letting your body chill out, sink down into yourself, and then say hello to each of your organs. And people in the audience in the class snigger, right? And you just go, say hello to your heart. Hello, heart. Then you imagine the heart's going, hello, back, you know. But if you fast forward out from a 4,000-year-old tradition, you fast forward to 2016, where you've got the science and how it works, that is precisely what's needed. That the person looks down into their body. This is not a visualization. This is a felt relationship. You're not visualizing something out there. You're coming down into your body. And it's like all relationships. It's something that develops the more you do it. You know, if I want to get to know any one of you, we can go for a 5-minute stroll and have a wee connection. If we want to know each other, we're going to hang out with each other, and we'll develop a relationship over the years. So when I teach this, I'm improving my own practice. I really mean that. And anybody else in this room who teaches Taoist practice of energy healing or Qigong or that area knows full well that possibly the main reason you're teaching it is to improve your own practice. You have an excuse for working with other people. So the trick here is you do it often. My suggestion is you do it lying in bed at night before you go to sleep, when you wake up, when you're sitting on the sofa watching telly, when you've got bored with the meeting you're at. You know, when school governor's meeting. Don't snore, just come gently into your body. Commuting. And it's hello heart, hello gut, hello body. And it's the guys, blokes in the room, and women who are women, right? You have to do it softly. You have to do the exercise with that exact, I'm repeating myself now, but people don't get it. They don't get it. They want to do energy work, they want to do self-healing. They don't get that it's the softness that works. And in yoga, in Qigong, internal martial arts, there's a saying, the softer the deeper. The softer the deeper. So in terms of what works through your nervous system into your endocrine system, again, it's the softer the deeper. So put emotionally, it's the gooier. It's the more baby language. Isn't this embarrassing? This is atrocious. How can we teach this in a way that doesn't? Because I've worked with loads of people in the medical profession, especially nurses, and they immediately, because they're used to putting out for other people, right? And they have to suddenly care for themselves, and it's very, very difficult to get over this hump of, that's so narcissistic, weak, self-centered, and then the only way I can balance it out when I teach it is usually I say, yes, but you really need to know that hardcore martial artists, Shaolin monks, the way they stay healthy is precisely through softness. Softer the deeper, softer the deeper. Now, the great thing about knowing how it works physiologically, if you were going to share this exercise with someone else, the thing that I think is crucial, and I think I've discovered for myself that I'm more of an educator than I am someone who wants to teach a particular kind of spirituality. And what I mean by that is, if you want to teach a particular kind of spirituality, that means you're in a Christian box, or a yoga box, or a Tai Chi box, or whatever box you're in, and when people come to you and you're teaching them, you teach them the techniques you know, and that's why they've come to you. That's not what I am. I think I'm more of a holistic, person-centered educator. So what's engaged me is talking to people. I go, what works best for you? And more than that, and we build on what you already know. So, for example, two prime elements of this exercise are, one, body's at ease, and two, that you have this caring attitude towards it. If I'm going to help you, as a teacher, put your body at ease, I can either say, I'm now going to teach you some relaxation exercises. I'm now going to teach you a new form of breath. I'm now going to teach you how to tense up and relax and do all this stuff. Or I can say, hello everybody, you already know how to chill out, don't you? You already know how to do it. Right? I've got nothing new to teach you. What I want to draw out of you is, you know, your body knows how to do it. So can you not just simply, in your own way, because your body knows how to do it, just pause and go, I'm going to take myself into being at ease. As opposed to thinking you need some teacher to teach you how to do relaxation exercise. Because unless you've been in adrenal trauma, minute by minute from the day you were born, you know how to do it. It's in your body. You know how to do it. This should be good news for you. Because I think the inner smile strategy was taught by people who found themselves doing it instinctively. They were just chilling out, they felt some pain, they felt some distress, they were embarrassed by some stupid argument they'd had, they behaved angrily or behaved jealously, and they're sitting there pondering it, sitting under a tree, their feet in a stream, and they're just going, oh, bless, look. And that attitude helped and shifted things. An attitude of, didn't help. So when it comes to the second bit of the exercise, which is giving care to yourself, I could go, all right, turn your focus down into your body, blah, 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 blah. Or, as we've done, I can reference it to something that everybody does. I can go, oh, look, you already know how to do it. You do it for little things that are vulnerable. Everybody in this room has had an experience at some time or another of giving that care to something that's vulnerable. I worked at one time in Shepton Jail with some really unpleasant guys. You wouldn't want to know what they've done, but they were quite capable of holding a little bird. And that mammalian instinct, because it's a mammalian instinct, the way dogs, cats lick their little babies. It's a basic instinct, and that's in you already. So again, I want to draw out of you that you know how to do it. The bit you don't know how to do, or maybe you do, but you haven't recognised that you know how to do it, the bit you don't know how to do is to give it to yourself. Consciously give it to yourself. So, do we need the door open for a bit? Are we okay? Bit of air?
Yeah, a little
bit of air.
Breeze through.
Yeah, a little bit of a breeze. Well, I'm getting very hot, entertaining us. So, I'm watching. What are you waving about? Just say it.
I keep worrying about that there's a nightlight behind those people, or there was, and they just don't.
Don't want to catch fire. I think that's rule number one for an organiser of events. Make sure your audience does not catch fire. 10 out of 10 for facilitation. I'm going to do the exercise again, but I'm going to use other ways of addressing it, and you'll see that those other ways of addressing it come from other spiritual traditions, other healing traditions. This is a 5 to 10 minute exercise. I'm wondering about leading it with the door open. So, it's up to you. Okay. Before we go into it, this is Glastonbury, and I know that. I want to reassure you that science about the polyvagal theory, the vagus nerve, mind, brain, heart, gut, endocrine system is solid. That's deeply in the way that a holistic approach to anatomy is being understood at the moment. And it's developing. We're about 5%, 10% into that model and how it will unfold in medicine. Just to say. But the theory is so solid that it enables someone like me to explain it in 5-10 minutes. It's that clean. So let's do the exercise again. I was just thinking that Christmas is, well, it's a couple of months away. It's only 8 weeks. So imagine, this exercise you can do when you're in one of those situations at Christmas where you can't escape. And you're in the room and you're sitting on a sofa or an armchair and you know you're stuck there for a couple of hours maybe. Or maybe having a wonderful time. But this is just trying to frame how you could use this exercise. So again, always what you want to do is just, as best you can, recognize that your body is completely accustomed to dropping down into itself and being at ease in sometimes quite uncomfortable situations. You'll all have experienced being in a waiting room or a train station or an airport or a bus station or hitchhiking, and you just have, just having to be there and wait, and your body just slumps into a best position it possibly can given the discomfort of the chairs. The body is very good at dropping down into being at ease. And even those of you who experience some pain, physical pain, of chronic pain, you'll know that you can be both in chronic pain and at ease. That's how you fall asleep, unless of course you're in trauma. This doesn't work if the pain is traumatic. But just let your body drop into being at ease. And it helps most people to give some awareness to their feet, the actual sensations of feelings in and around your feet and the sole of your feet. And helps most people to give some awareness, focus to their bottom, how it feels on the chair or the floor. And in doing this, what you're doing is you're bringing your focus home to your body. And you're feeling down into what your body is feeling like. You can feel the clothes against the skin, your thighs. You can feel the texture of your clothes against the skin of your thighs. Your consciousness is capable of monitoring anywhere you want in your body. So would you do that 3 or 4 very soft, quiet, I do not want to hear them, these soft, quiet breaths down into your abdomen, the inner gut brain, the worm inside you, just loves those soft, soft breaths. They are so reassuring to it. So 3 or 4 very soft, quiet, long, deep breaths. And all to hear them. As best you can. This is the crucial set of muscles and nerves. Just let your stomach, let it just drop and sink as best you can. And then there's that attitude, that mood, that feeling and emotion we can have for a little creature that needs our care. And our eyes soften. Maybe a little smile in our eyes. And our heart opens. And that soft, caring attitude, you can bring it home to your body, just having that awareness of your own body, being in relationship with and caring for your body. now I'm going to move the exercise forward a bit. And there are all those traditions which work with the cauldron or the pot or the grail or the chalice. And in these traditions, one of the ways of working with those ideas is that you understand and feel that your own body, especially that area between your hips, that's where the chalice, the grail, the pot, the cauldron is. And you are the master baker, the master brewer, the magician, the wizard, the witch, the good fairy. And you are putting into this pot a good attitude, an attitude of care, an attitude of acceptance, very opposite to anger, bat swings, toad's eyes, just putting lovely things into the pot. So in all those traditions where you have the grail, pot, cauldron, if they're internalized as a learning for your own body, this is the core lesson. Be careful what you put into your pot. There are other traditions all across the world where inside your body there is a tree of life, deep roots down into the earth, beautiful, vibrant trunk, wonderful foliage in your body, and your consciousness is the weather that feeds this tree. It's the soil that feeds this tree. So this tree that's inside you, again, from your crown, from your heart, from your base, you give it care. And again, deep in your core, your worm, vagus nerve, gut, brain, the heart, nervous system, the endocrine system just go, oh yeah, thank you. This is what I need. This kind of care. And the other spiritual traditions which don't work with the chalice or the pot or the cauldron or the internal trees of life, but they work with inside your body there's a landscape. Rivers, mountains, hills. And again, your consciousness is the weather, it's the goddess, the god, the spirit of the landscape that's giving to this landscape good weather, good climate, good ecology, good harmony. And there's yet another tradition which is found again all over the world, which inside your body finds the cosmos, the solar system, the galaxies. You find it in alchemy, you find it in all kinds of Vedic approaches all across the world. There's this cosmos inside you, the sun, the stars, the moon. And you, your consciousness, is cosmic consciousness, Buddha consciousness, Christ consciousness, just giving this universe inside you a blessing. Giving it unconditional care, good energy, good awareness. All of these different approaches, the Taoist inner smile, the cauldron, chalice, pot, grail, tree of life, the inner cosmos. All of these different traditions, when they're practiced physiologically, the same thing is happening. Beneficial, good messages are going through your nervous system, prompting well-being cocktail in your endocrine system. Heart rate variability integrates, breath calms, gut ecology comes into harmony. The health benefits physically are immense. Everything is supported. Stronger immune system. Everything is supported. Emotionally, your feelings chilled out. Less acidic, sour stuff. More positive, upbeat, mellow stuff. Mentally, so fantastic to be able to self-manage in this way, to self-guide. It's great for us psychologically. Maybe chaos in the world around us. But look, we can do this kind of practice and self-manage. Great for mental health. And at the same time, something more holistic, more metaphysical is happening. It's guiding, allowing healing energy into your body. Softer, the deeper. If I could, I would magic you all home to bed right now. Put you to sleep in this state. And you go into it consciously and then wake up in the morning and go, oh, I think I'll do some more of this before I get out of bed. I've brushed my teeth and had breakfast. Maybe I'll do some more of this now as well. Oh, I'm in a meeting with a lot of very efficient, busy people. Oh, maybe this is a great time to do it. Positive vibe to everybody I'm with. So gently give yourself a little stretch and slowly come out. And it's either because it's very warm in here, or it's late in the evening, or you fell asleep, but that was a very mellow vibe. I'm going to say out loud where we went in those last 10 minutes, in case some of you get it. And there's a card with an egg memoir of everything we've done this evening. So you don't have to take notes or remember, so it's all on this card. There's loads of them around. So, recapitulation. Your body already knows how to do it because it does it in other situations. All that's changing here is you're being brought home to being conscious about something you can do and directing it to yourself. Get over being stoic and militaristic and all the rest of it and give yourself that care. Hardcore martial artists do it in order for flexibility and health and vitality. Messages through your nervous system work in your heart, in your gut, and your endocrine system. Inner smile, pots, chalices, grail, trees of life, internal cosmoses, alchemical symbols, internal landscapes, all teaching the same thing. You are the goddess, God, divinity to this ecosystem. Give it the same care and love that we expect from the unconditional wonder that is in the universe. Give that to yourself. Now, when you've done all that, and you can see how 95% of that could be delivered in a hospital. You know, there was the 5% where I went into the holistic energy stuff, right? I'm going to just segue into the energy stuff. In the metaphysical, spiritual perspective, we live in a cosmos, in a natural world, which is filled with benevolent prana, chi, healing energy. It is just there. It is just there. And when you do the inner smile exercise, it simply allows you to be a conduit to let it enter into your body. When you go softly into being at ease and stop radiating and being busy, you become a magnet that absorbs the benevolent chi and prana. That is why people devitalize after having a rest or sleeping. You know, where does that energy come from? They're not been eating. You know, there's just beautiful energy there. Two, when you soften and do it consciously, two different parts of your body, you're actually guiding the healing vitality into those areas of the tissue. And the prana that's locked in bioenergetic tension opens up, tissue opens up, and healing is easier. So you get a double whammy. You get the neuroendocrinal, gut, heart thing, and you also get the flow of the energy, the healing energy into your body. So if you know about it, you're completely bonkers not to do it. Completely bonkers. And it's not something that takes a lot of time. It's just, it's an awareness that you rhythm into your life as and when works best for you. Yes, we do. So, question?
I had the perfect partner, my third partner, who taught me his technique, but she suffered from panic attacks. Could you explain why?
Oh, that's a sad story. We had a partner who suffered from panic attacks and also taught this technique. Do you know, did she use it herself a lot?
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know what to say other than that whatever was causing the panic attacks was such a deep chronic trauma that the work didn't.
Could be from childhood.
I don't know. And on
I
the
wonder
other,
if you've come across it as well.
yes, I have.
If there's any connection.
Well, a lot of people I know, including me, have healed their panic attacks by doing this practice. But what you don't know of your wife is how much worse it might have been had she not done the practice.
Yeah.
And that's a very poignant and deep subject, so I don't feel that I can address it.
The second question was, why do the police not aware of this?
Why are the police
force not aware of this?
You say that, but some bouncers are trained in it, and you see them standing outside nightclubs like this. And they know that if they stay mellow and send good messages down into their own bodies, then they can stay quiet while other people are kicking off. So it's not in male militaristic culture,
Mm.
especially martial arts. It's not so unknown.
Would it also not be that they are emanating then that energy, which also helps to keep the people who might kick off from not kicking off?
Absolutely. If you're in your body and you're feeling strong and secure and confident, and you're not looping aggressive energy with someone, it chills other people out. Yep, absolutely. That's why I had us practice imagining doing it at Christmas with difficult families. Wry laughs in the room. Yeah.
Would you say the technique is more effective if you adopt a meditative pose?
Would I say the technique is more effective if you adopt a meditative pose? No. I think people, the question is basically, do you need to go like this, right? I think people need to do it in the position that is most comfortable for them, without damaging themselves. I teach meditation as well, and I'm pretty clear at this stage that posture is not the best way to help people into meditation. Actually, what you need, where you need to start is where are people comfortable and where can they most easily watch their breath. That's a whole other subject.
What you're saying, in effect, is it's the intent, as opposed to regular meditation, which is clearing the mind. You're putting yourself in a situation of deliberate intent, because you're focusing on yourself, on healing, is it?
Well, you used the words deliberate intent, and I think you're probably right, but I'm very cautious about using words like that, because as an educator, teacher, coach, I only want to be using language that reassures and facilitates people into stuff that's already in them. So if with intent has got this kind of, you have to get over something to be able to do it. So brackets, yes, you absolutely need to make a decision to do it. And that requires a willful decision. It doesn't require intention. Yes. But at the same time, I'm very cautious about using that language, because I really want to be hand-holding people into doing something that I know they can already do if they would just let me hand-hold them into it.
Could a different way of putting that be mindful application?
Mindful application. You see, I know what you mean by that, but it's jargon outside of our little mindfulness world. Right? So again, if you dropped me in the pub, or you dropped me in the hospital, and I'm having to teach this stuff, I don't want to use any kinds of words that make them think they're learning something new. And I'm not going to teach you mindfulness, right? I'm not going to teach you mindfulness. What I'm going to do is facilitate you into doing something that is natural to human beings. And it's a this is it's one of my rants that people in spirituality and meditation circles and religious circles are not good educators. They're into selling their particular bill of goods. Mm-hmm. And if they were good educators, I've got someone who wants to take issue with me, which is great.
I was thinking actually that otherwise it comes more in the mind than in the body, because you're thinking and overthinking it rather than the feeling, which is what you're talking about, the sense of doing.
I think you need to talk louder.
So rather than being in the mind of being in the mind, you're not intellectualising it, but you're actually in the body, in the feeling body, in the emotion body. So that's into it.
Yeah. I don't know how to say that quickly.
As I'm getting older, I'm more conscious of the different bits of my body that are aching or, causing a problem. And you said at one point about focusing on the organs of the body. Mm-hmm. Do you think it helps to become more, if you like, more anatomically educated? Do you think it helps to imagine the lungs and imagine the esophagus and imagine the different bits that
Absolutely. I think if you get into this and you genuinely want to self-care and self-manage and self-heal, it is so useful to go and get a GCSE anatomy colouring book and learn about your own body so that you can be quite specific about where you're directing attention. And then when you come into what you were talking about, your feeling body, you can actually go into where the actual area is that's vulnerable.
In younger life, I mean, I was never, my body was just a whole of complete comfort and ease. Never thought about, oh, what's that bit or this bit or that. But as I'm getting older, I'm suddenly being aware of all these. So to see the body or experience my body as a whole functioning, I mean, it is all interconnected. None of these organs sort of operate independently, do they? So somehow one has to do, I imagine, how do you, yes, what's your response to that? To do both?
My response is, isn't it great that whatever stage of life we're in, our condition triggers development?
Very clever.
No, I'm not being clever. I'm being really serious. I'm being really serious. Right?
Yeah, no,
and those of us who've suffered bad pain, we wouldn't wish it on anybody else, but we know very well that we've been able to milk it for development. Because it's like you either whinge or you grow. You know, and the same with trauma. There comes a certain point where there's post-traumatic development. You either stay in the trauma and whinge about what was going on, or there's some growth happens.
That's good, thank you.
And approaching death is a wonderfully stimulating educational process.
You talk about the practice as being self-care. Obviously it has effect within your own body. But can you say something about, given we are all not separate, we're all part of something bigger than ourselves, how it has an impact on the wider environment or healing as an external practice?
Yeah, I think the benefits are twofold. And there is one way of hearing everything I've said this evening, which is it's just self-centered and narcissistic, me, heal myself. But, in building on your question, I'm absolutely certain, and my family would say, yes, that's so true about you, that the more you do this kind of practice, the more you become a nicer kind of person to live with, work with, have as a colleague, have as a neighbour. It spills over. It spills over. Then it's not just a behavioural spillover. You actually have a better vibe. May the force be with you. You're a nicer person to have around in the space with you. And that's good for all of us. So thank you for taking us in that direction.
You said you work with nurses and doctors. Is that for them to be able to use it with their patients, or
I've tended to work with medics who are wanting to work in this area already, mainly for in terms of their own resilience and self-care, and that then spills over to care better for their patients and users of their service.
Well, in that zone, we can influence. There's an influence one, but likewise, if there's somebody not in the zone, we also can be affected.
Too true.
And so maybe this is to be done maybe in more on one's own. I don't know, or maybe a little bit.
Some of you will know that you're empathic, sensitive, and vulnerable to other people's vibes, and you get easily overwhelmed. If you are one of those people, then yes, you do this exercise on your own, and it will build up your nervous system and strengthen you and make you less sponge-like to that external stuff. But yeah, you're quite right. If you are one of those empathic, highly sensitive people, you don't want to be sitting in a meeting or a business meeting on the bus, opening up and doing that. You need to be aware
So
of your
which way
boundaries.
is it going? Is it like, if you're really strong and it's going outwards, or is it coming inwards?
If you're strong, it's going outwards. If you're exhausted and ill, you're vulnerable to that. And you're receptive to crap, aren't you? You know, I mean, that's the lesson for all of us. You know, self-managing when we're vitally strong and when we need to close down. But the human body does that anyway because we go to bed every night and sleep. There's a natural rhythm. If it were healthy.
I was wondering, have you found the medical profession to be open to what you teach more, or has it been a fight to get them to take it on?
My work with medics has always been with little pockets of commissioners where one person is interested in it, and that brings me in. But in terms of medical schools, it's not that good news at the moment.
They can't make money out of it, can they?
It's to do with understanding the science of it, and there's a whole there's a worldview battle going on about what the science of how the body is understood, and there are several decades to go before that integrates, I think. What were you going to say?
Well, I mean, it's very obvious where it's all going for me as far as the subtler the energy, the more the central nervous system. If you have a central nervous system that's highly attuned and sensitive and able to process moving energy, then self-healing occurs, it seems like. And it's all where I've been working with art and creation, in the creation field, which comes from the heart energy. It's about moving that energy on several levels until there's this circuit going on. And that circuit is self-healing and self-regenerating. And I've discovered it through art and creativity. There's a healing field. And I've discovered also that the central nervous system is the key, that basically you're able to learn your chi energy, and I've likened it to a tree in the nervous system, but basically it's a completely circular system, and as you just keep moving and moving it and containing it, it's self-regenerative, and I just don't get sick. So, I found that, it's just tapping in, but it's all internal art. It's, like you say, it's all practice and internal art. I guess it's pretty amazing that we have this incredible reservoir inside of us, as we study ourselves and in a deeper and deeper reflection. But I really like what you said. It's just like dropping into a really, really deep relaxation place. I used to be meditating here for hours. I found all my work that I would do at night. At first I was in fetal position. I was a lot in fetal position because I needed that kind of circulation of really drawing in and stuff. And so I've just gone through all these different phases of basic relaxation and centering is the key. So I really reaffirming. Thank you so much. You made it so it's so simple, but those codes are actually original codes in the nervous system.
Enough? Are we cooked?
I reckon.
One last. What time do you normally? Let's take one last question.
I just thought to do a warm bath.
Yeah.
Would it enhance it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You star student. Yeah, no, because I often say, do it in a warm bath, and then everybody knows what it's like to yield to being in a warm bath.
Yeah.
In Glastonbury bonkers language, we sometimes call it soaking in the hot tub of the goddess. Okay? One person down on the floor, can't see it go.
Do you use it with children?
Do I use it with children? I tell you, I use it with children in so much as that's the state I stay in when I'm with children. And that's a great vibe for them. And parents ask me, how can I teach it to my children? I say, first of all, you learn how to do it when your child takes your most favourite piece of china and drops it. And then, if you can do this practice, the children will internalise it from you. Because that's they don't know. I wouldn't.
I was just thinking it would be lovely to take it into schools.
Yeah. But there are all kinds of lovely initiatives in schools to do with meditation and self-soothing. Yeah. Okay?
Yep.
All right, so let's take a minute of silence just to close. May your journeys from this place be safe. May your arrivals be graceful. May your sleep and dreams tonight be healing, integrating. Blessed be. Thank you.
Don't know where to stand. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
As always, profoundly soothing and so needed, I think, at all times, but I think particularly in these times. It's so clear that this sort of work is really spreading. Whatever scary, weird things are going on out there, this work is spreading and it's a wonderful thing. So, thank you, William.